Hey there. Welcome back to the Billionaire Mindset channel. Today, we're diving headfirst into a topic that'll make you appreciate the construction workers out there even more. We're talking about the biggest construction mistakes in the world. And let me tell you, there's a lot more to these stories than just bricks and mortar. Number 5 on our list takes us all the way to the land of dragons, dumplings, and daring construction, China. China is all about go big or go home, right? So, when they build massive. In 2021, they whipped up a staggering 6 million residential properties. But, and there's always a but, sometimes they trade quality for speed, and that's where things get wild. Imagine waking up in Shanghai on a fine morning, only to hear a 13-story apartment building saying, "I'm out." That's what happened at the Lotus Riverside complex. It turns out, they were digging an underground garage there, but oops, that made the building go all Michael Jackson and lean to one side. But wait, it gets crazier. Initial investigations into this jaw-dropping incident pointed towards an excavation happening for an underground garage beneath the building. This excavation might have been the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. You see, the building's foundations were undermined because of this excavation. It's like trying to build a sandcastle near a surging ocean. The dugout soil caused the adjacent riverbank to collapse, allowing water to mix with the ground. Over time, this mixture muddied and loosened the soil, weakening the building's foundations until, well, gravity took over. But here's where it gets truly mind-boggling. Before this disastrous collapse, the supervising company responsible for overseeing the project had repeatedly warned the construction firm about potential dangers. They were basically the safety officers waving red flags, but they were constantly ignored. Here's the kicker. The supervising company was, wait for it, hired by the construction firm themselves to keep an eye on things. Can you smell the conflict of interest here? If they reported problems to the quality control department, it directly impacted their own employer. They could kiss part of their fees goodbye, and nobody wants that, right? Following this disastrous building collapse, authorities detained 9 key individuals from Shanghai Zhongxin Construction. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. A large chunk of the people who had already bought properties from the developer demanded refunds or compensation. It's like a domino effect of financial chaos. Our journey now takes us to sunny Spain, the land of flamenco, paella, and the infamous Leaning Tower of Pisa's lesser-known cousin. I'm talking about the Intempo skyscraper in Benidorm, Spain. Get ready to be tilted, both figuratively and literally. Now, when you think of skyscrapers, you think of impressive steel and glass behemoths, right? Well, Spain decided to join the skyscraper party with the Intempo skyscraper. This baby soared over 200 meters into the azure Spanish sky, boasting a whopping 47 floors. Just imagine the views from up there, you'd practically be touching the clouds. But here's where our story takes a wild twist. Construction on the Intempo skyscraper kicked off in 2006 with an ambitious plan to wrap things up in just 3 short years. However, life had other plans, and in 2008, the global financial crisis hit the world like a wrecking ball. Everything came to an abrupt halt. The construction company responsible for this sky-high project hit rock bottom, forcing them to down tools and dreams. I mean, it's like inviting guests to a party and then canceling it just before they arrive. But wait, here's where it gets juicy. Rumors started circulating that the Intempo skyscraper had no elevators planned. Can you believe that? A skyscraper with no elevators? A Spanish newspaper published this rumor, and it quickly spread like wildfire through other media outlets. It's like saying you're building a spaceship but forgot to include the seats. The sales manager, Rafael Balesta, promptly squashed these elevator-less rumors, stating, "We are constructing the highest residential skyscraper in Europe, so how is it possible to build without elevators?" I mean, that would be a pretty epic fail, right? But, hold on to your hard hats because there's more. In 2010, when construction resumed under new management, workers went 4 whole months without a paycheck. Can you imagine showing up to work every day and not getting paid? It's like clocking in for your dream job only to find out you're on an unpaid internship. And here's the cherry on top. When they finally installed an elevator for the hardworking builders to use, guess what happened? Yep, you guessed it. The elevator decided to throw a tantrum and crashed while 13 people were inside. It's like a scene from a horror movie, but with a surprisingly happy ending because the emergency brake saved the day. But that's not all. Just 1 year before they were supposed to finish this colossal tower, the architects suddenly threw in the towel. They packed their blueprints and walked away. Nobody knew why, they just dropped the mic and left. Talk about a cliffhanger in real life, right? So, who saves the day in this real-life construction thriller? A Connecticut-based company called SVP Global swooped in, investing a cool 60 million euros. They not only completed the project but also had to face the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's like a superhero coming to the rescue when all hope seemed lost. Fast forward 15 years since the construction of the in-tempo skyscraper began. After changing hands and facing numerous financial hurdles, the skyscraper finally opened its doors to the world in 2021. It's like that roller coaster ride you're not sure you'll survive, but you do, and it's exhilarating. Now let's dive into the aquatic world of the Berlin Aquadome. It's like a skyscraper of water. Let me set the scene. You're in the heart of Germany's capital, Berlin, surrounded by history, culture, and the magnificent Radisson Collection Hotel. Inside this luxury haven, you find the Aquadome, and let me tell you, it's not your typical aquarium. Standing a staggering 25 meters tall, this cylindrical wonder holds a whopping 1 million liters of water. That's like having your own private ocean in the lobby. But here's where the story takes a dive, both figuratively and quite literally. Inside the Aquadome swam over 1,500 exotic fish, a diverse cast of aquatic celebrities from 100 different species. And to make things even more mind-blowing, they added a transparent elevator ride through the middle of this aquatic paradise. Imagine riding an elevator through a swirling dance of colorful fish. It's like being in your very own National Geographic documentary. Now, close your eyes and picture this. It's December 16, 2022, a chilly Berlin morning. You're sipping your latte in the Radisson lobby, and suddenly, chaos ensues. The Aquadome, in all its glory, decides it's had enough. It bursts like a shaken soda can, releasing 1 million liters of seawater. You heard me right, 1 million liters. The lobby turns into an instant underwater adventure, minus the scuba gear. Now, here's the twist. Thankfully, this epic deluge happened early in the morning when there were only a handful of people around. Just 2 people ended up in the hospital, and that's a relief, considering the magnitude of the mess. If it had been during peak hours, it might have been like a scene from a waterlogged disaster movie. But what caused this incredible aquatic explosion? Well, investigators have a theory, and it's quite a surprise. They suspect material fatigue was the culprit. You see, the Aquadome was like a giant thermos, warm water inside, freezing cold air outside. And that sudden contrast might have weakened the acrylic panels, causing them to, well, let's say, take an early dive. But hey, here's the silver lining. This Aquadome disaster put the spotlight back on the need for regular maintenance. It's a reminder that even the most breathtaking marvels need a little TLC from time to time. Now let's move on to another incredible construction mistake. We all know Italy for pasta, pizza, and the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This tower's been a bit tipsy since day one, and you know what? It's still standing. It's like that one guy at the party who's had a few too many drinks but won't fall down. Our story takes us back to the 12th century, when they decided to build a freestanding bell tower for the Pisa Cathedral. The plan seemed simple, a beautiful tower that would grace the cityscape. But they encountered a problem: unstable soil. You see, the tower was erected on some soft, mushy ground. They basically built it on pudding. Now, here's the part that turns this mistake into a marvelous saga. Construction kicked off in 1173, and things were smooth until they hit the second floor. It was like déjà vu, your Jenga tower swaying after a careless nudge. The tower started leaning, just a little at first, but enough to raise eyebrows. So, what do you do when your tower starts to lean? You take a breather. Yep, construction was paused for about a century. You heard that right, they stopped building for almost 100 years. It's like hitting pause on a house of cards and hoping the wind doesn't blow it over. During that time, the soft soil beneath had a chance to settle, harden up a bit, and, well, adapt to the slanted situation. The tower stopped its relentless tilt for a while. It was like it had its own leaning vacation. But wait, the story doesn't end there. Fast forward to the 20th century. The tower's tilt had reached a startling 5.5 degrees. That's like living life permanently at a funhouse. People started to worry that it might just, topple over. And here's where the heroics come in. Italy wasn't about to lose its beloved landmark. They went all out to stabilize it. They removed the bells from the top to lighten the load. Picture moving out of your house but leaving the structure standing. It's like that. You might think architects would be out of their minds with worry, right? Well, in the 90s, some architects actually resigned. Imagine being the architect of the Leaning Tower of Pisa and saying, you know what? I'm out of here. Fast forward to today, and the tower's tilt is just under 4 degrees. It's like the world's most famous underdog. It leaned, it wobbled, but it never fell down. Visitors from all corners of the globe flocked to Pisa, not to see a mistake but to witness the triumph of architectural audacity. Alright, it's time for number 1 and is a real jaw-dropper. Welcome to South Korea's Sampoong department store. Picture this, Seoul, the late 1980s, a city on the cusp of a major transformation. The 1988 Summer Olympics were approaching, and the South Korean capital was booming with construction and development. Money was flowing in like a river. Enter the Sampoong department store, a 9-story shopping extravaganza that was set to become a symbol of affluence. Initially, it was supposed to be an apartment building, but then the future chairman, Lee Jun, had a change of heart and blueprints. Now, when the original construction company raised concerns about these changes, you'd think someone would listen, right? Wrong. Instead, Lee Jun fired them, swapped in his own team, and carried on as if nothing happened. It's like turning your DIY project into a reality show where chaos is the main attraction. The first signs of trouble showed up in the form of cracks on the top floor. But guess what? Lee Jun decided to relocate stores and merchandise to the basement and carried on as if these were just minor hiccups. It's like duct taping your problems and pretending everything's a-okay. And then came that fateful day, June 29, 1995. The store was making cracking sounds, not the good kind you'd hear while enjoying your favorite snack. Workers scrambled to evacuate customers and staff, but the die was cast. In mere seconds, the roof caved in, crashing down to the lower floors. The entire south wing crumbled, trapping over 1,500 people. It was like a scene from a disaster movie, but tragically real. In the aftermath, Lee Jun, his son, and other key figures in his company faced the wrath of justice. They were found guilty of negligence and sentenced to more than a decade in prison. The incident also peeled back the layers of corruption within the country's construction industry, like a curtain being lifted on a dark stage. Today, in a rather controversial move, the site of the Sampoong department store has been sold to a private developer. Now, a luxury apartment complex sits atop the site where tragedy once unfolded. It's like replacing a solemn memorial with a shiny facade. Well, there you have it, folks, the biggest construction blunders. If you know any other crazy construction stories, drop them in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. And before you go, we've got a thrilling video about the most terrifying bridges in the world. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.